Hello, everyone. How are you? It's so good to see you guys today. I'm having an amazing day. I'm SYNOLVE, by the way. I'm your host, and welcome to my channel. Welcome to this amazing discussion that we're having today. I am so excited because you guys know my heart is in the Caribbean, and today especially my body is in the Caribbean because it is freezing cold in the US where I am today. So I'm excited. But I'm SYNOLVE, and I am excited about very passionate about telling the Exodus story, the Black Exodus story of how we are, as Black women, Black men, we are making the decision to leave Babylon, to leave where we are, and to go where we are celebrated and not just where we are tolerated. And so I'm very excited about my guest today. I have Zoe Smith, and if you guys don't know, she is absolutely an amazing creator and writer and Exodus coach, by the way. If you didn't know, if you're thinking of going anywhere in the Caribbean, Zoe is the person for you. And I have all of the links for you to connect with Zoe on social media and so many other places. Well, in the meantime, while you guys are coming in, because I know how you guys are as you're coming in, and I know that most of you actually watches on the replay, which is very exciting, and I love you guys for that. So welcome. If you're watching us on the replay, welcome. Of course, as I always say, you are always welcome here, and I am so excited to have you. Be sure to go ahead and just do all the good stuff, right? Go ahead and like the broadcast. Go ahead and share the broadcast with a friend, someone you love or don't love. But go ahead and share the broadcast with them and let them know that we are on, and that if you have been really wanting or excited about moving to the Caribbean, visiting the Caribbean, moving to Grenada, visiting the Grenada, then this is definitely the conversation for you. Not just a conversation. This is the person that Zoe is the person that you need to connect with and you need to link up with. And so I've left all of her socials below for you to connect with her on Instagram, on YouTube, Facebook, all those places. And also to connect with her on her website as well, especially if you're thinking about relocating to Grenada or anywhere in the Caribbean. So be sure to go ahead, subscribe, like the broadcast. I'm saying about y'all know I've been practicing my Jamaica, so everything is bumbleclot. Anyway, I don't even know what that means, but go ahead and like the broadcast, subscribe, right? And while you're subscribing to me, go ahead in the description and go ahead and subscribe over to the Exodus Collective on Zoe's channel. And yes, and give me a thumbs up and get in the chat and leave some comments. Okay. I think I did it all. Hello, African Queens. Giselle, it's so good to see you. I feel like I see Giselle every day because Giselle and I talk all the time. And hubby is here, Milton. Thank you so much for being here and for supporting me. I appreciate you so much. This is my travel partner, my bae. Thank you so much, Milton, for all of your support. I really do appreciate you and love you so much. Giselle, welcome. And all of those, everyone, all of you who are in watching and who are shy to come to the chat, welcome. You are always welcome here. I love you guys so much. You know that. All right, well, we're going to bring Zoe in. And we're going to welcome her to the chat while you guys are go ahead and sharing and doing all the amazing things that you do. Thank you. I appreciate you. All right, let's go ahead and bring Zoe in. Drum roll, please. All right. Welcome, Zoe.
Hey, 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 nice to finally connect.
It is. It is good to see your beautiful face this morning.
Sure,
And glad you are here.
I'm wishing I was as cold as you are. It's hot here. And my fan is behind me, so if I sweat, forgive me. I'm not somewhere cold.
Okay, you're breaking up just a bit, but I did hear that the fan is behind you and I have the heat blowing, so I understand. I understand. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Zoe. Because y'all know how I do. At heart I'm a researcher. And I love writing. So I, had to go ahead and research my sister so I could tell you all about her. I'm talking today, as I said, to Zoe Smith about moving to Grenada and how we can make these conscious moves to Grenada and the Caribbean. Because we want to show up as conscious individuals, and we'll talk to Zoe about what that really means. So Zoe is a London-born British writer, which you can probably hear from her accent. And she currently lives with her family in Grenada, West Indies, the Caribbean Spice Owl. So we got to talk about spices and where that Spice Owl name comes from. As a journalist, Zoe is phenomenal. She has worked for publications including The Guardian, Rolling Stone, Italy, and the Financial Times. Zoe was also the founding director of Full Fact, a content strategist at the Overseas Development Institute, and has held positions at the Financial Times, The Guardian, Rolling Stone, Italia, and Porter. We know Net-a-Porter, guys. If I had I still have a Thrift Queens group on Facebook. Girl, we ain't thrifting in there no more. We talk about all kinds of stuff because I'm saving all my coins to go to the Caribbean. But but we love Net-a-Porter. Love Net-a-Porter. And so Net-a-Porter is, if you didn't know and you're not a member of our group on Thrift Queens on Facebook thing, Net-a-Porter is the world's leading online luxury fashion retailer. Zoe studied politics and Italian at the University of Glasgow, journalism, and social sciences at City University. After completing her master's in violence and conflict and development at the School for Oriental and African Studies, where I missed my notes, y'all. she shifted to the field of international development communications. Now, all of this is in below. All this amazing things that Zoe has done. Zoe has written beautiful articles. One of the articles that I saw her and I really was excited about because I went and followed everyone. She wrote 16 Black women inspiring international moves you should be following. And so meet these Black women who are helping more Black women to relocate and Black families, Black men to relocate. And so I went and followed all 16. Okay. Also, Zoe is the founder of the Exodus Collective. And so the Exodus Collective's mission is to inspire conscious relocations to the Caribbean, as I said. And so go follow Zoe. I left all her links below. You may not know she's also the founder of Bud and Root, plant-based herbal tea blend house. And she's also a self-proclaimed yoga Nidra junkie. And we're going to ask Zoe what that is. So Zoe, what is a yoga Nidra junkie? Let's start there.
Before I answer that, you've really done your research. I tried to fob you off with a really short explain, like, I'm Zoe, that's it. But you've done your research, so hats off to you. So Yoga Nidra is a practice basically about letting your brain get out of the way and what really needs to come through from your subconscious to step to the fore. So in some ways, it's quite like meditation. It doesn't necessarily involve any extreme poses. In fact, the only pose that you really need is Savasana, which is a corpse pose, because you're lying down. And you basically just close your eyes And quite often you'll set an intention and you'll let that intention work its way through your body. You'll sort of work it through your hands, through your joints, all the way down. So then in some ways you're infusing yourself with that intention, but also allowing yourself to see what resistance comes up. So yeah, it's something that I started practicing while I was pregnant with my last daughter. He's now 5. And it's just my go-to modality for either when I'm super stressed or when I'm wanting to be creative. Like I really should do it on a daily basis. And there are times when I don't, but when I do, it's just, I would recommend it for everyone. Like it's free. You don't need to go to a class. You can do it in your bed. And it's just, yeah, I would say it's really fundamental. It can be a way of making fundamental shifts that, yeah, everyone should do it. Everyone should do it, especially if you want to move abroad. I think I used Yoga Nidra to really center myself on making this move, setting the intention, getting clear on what it looked like, getting clear on how I would navigate through the challenges that came along. And even now that I'm here, and realizing that there's some stuff that I want to tweak somewhat, having a regular yoga nidra practice is just a great way of flowing. Like I'm all about flow. If it doesn't flow, I'm not doing it. So yeah, that's my way of trying to be aligned, which I need because I've got 3 young kids. So they spin me. Fresher, mom, 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 mom. And to be grounded and centered is really important. Oh, you've disappeared. Am I going to have to freestyle on my own? I really hope I'm not, because I haven't prepared for this. Maybe if there's anyone in the audience, they can post some questions. Oh, I am really all on my own. This isn't what I was expecting. Are you back?
I'm back. No, I did. I don't know. The internet did that. I often say, can everyone, first of all, can everyone hear Zoe? If you can hear Zoe, please let me know in the chat. And if you can hear me, see me, let me know. Zoe, Mr. Hillary says, Zoe, you got this. Go freestyle, right? I would say that the internet in the Caribbean is much better. I've interviewed so many people, and I'm actually jealous. The internet in the Caribbean is much better than I am here in the U.S. in Memphis. It's much better, and so that's number one on my list of why I like to move. You don't just go for the internet, but it's a really great, a really great reason to do so. Mr. Hillary asked a question. Let's see. He asked, does this include does this deeper meditation involve levitation? So he'd like to know.
Does it involve, for me personally, I haven't got to the point where it involves levitation, but I guess there's no reason why it couldn't. But I personally haven't gone down that route.
Awesome. And Mr. Hillary, so I don't get it wrong, please tell us where you are again. You have to tell me that every time you come. I know, right? You have to tell me every time where you are. I will definitely get the country wrong, but you're in the Caribbean as well. So welcome, Mr. Hillary.
Yeah, and
Milton says
Grenada, not Grenada, Grenada. Oh no, you're back. Grenada.
I'm back. Just go with it. It's Memphis. It's the internet. It's cold today. I don't know. We had a storm last night, so I'm assuming that the internet is going wonky. Milton says anything that can help us achieve a positive and focused mindset is awesome. It is. And you use meditation to be able to do that. I don't see you anymore.
Oh, I'm still here. Yeah. And to be honest, like I've dabbled with meditation for quite a while. I used to go to a Buddhist center when I was living in East London, and I find meditation quite hard. I remember one time being there and someone was breathing and all I wanted to do was just like slap them in the face, which is the opposite of what meditation is supposed to achieve. But I think because Yoga Nidra in some way is quite a somatic practice, in that you're working with your body. For people who are just like fizzy minded like me, it really does. It's quite pure. Whereas I find meditation can be quite in my head, and that's the last place that I need to be. So it's like meditation, but a bit better, I would say, subjectively.
I tend to have monkey mind, so my husband can meditate and he can just wipe his mind, like he can just go quiet and just clear his mind. I cannot. I'm thinking I don't really think about doing the dishes and housework and that kind of stuff when I'm trying to meditate. I just think, oh, I could be writing. Oh, I should be doing this. Okay, did I read anything? What did I read today? Okay, what was on YouTube? I wonder what Zoe doing over in Grenada. Grenada. That's kind of the way that my mind goes. Wow. So we know now what Nidra yoga is. It's amazing. And so let's talk about you, Zoe. You actually moved with your family from the UK, but your family is originally from Grenada. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so both of my parents are from Grenada. Grandparents are from Grenada. As I'm doing some sort of genealogical research, I'm realizing that there are also other links to other islands like St. Lucia and Barbados. And prior to that, I'm like 90% Nigerian, Malian, and Beninese. I want to say Beninoise, but Beninese. So I'm fully West African. And I think as much as it's great to be from Grenada, that African heritage is something that I love. Like, I love that I'm not from all over the place. Like, I know where I'm rooted, and coming back here, it's really a way to just to reconnect to some of the stuff that's got lost in the processes of us moving to the UK. So both sets of grandparents left Grenada in the 1950s. I think in 1954 there was a big hurricane here, Hurricane Janet, that destroyed a lot of the island. And to be honest, things weren't that great for Black folks here ever since slavery left. So it wasn't great before, and the hurricane made it even worse. So many people moved to the UK because the UK was trying to reconstruct after World War II. And they did really basic jobs. So my grandfather works in the basement of a really nice restaurant in Piccadilly Circus, which is in the center of London, and he washed dishes. That was his job. My grandmother was a cleaner in hospitals and hotels, far from glamorous, but this is what they did in order to provide what they thought would be a better life for their kids. So my parents came over when they were 7 or 8, and up until then they'd been brought up by their grandparents because their parents were off earning money, that typical immigrant story that we hear. And they did well. Like, they both have their master's degrees, they had good jobs, and they kind of pushed me into that, get a good job, do a profession, which I kind of rejected the whole way through. But the one thing that's interesting is, as a kid, I would come back to Grenada on holiday, and I really didn't like it. I was like, it's tiny, it's hot, it's full of mosquitoes, there's nothing to do. Like, if anyone had said to me, you're going to move back to Grenada, I would have assumed that was like a jail term. Like, I couldn't think of anywhere worse to be, which is why I studied Italian. I was really passionate about Italy. I wanted to be a fashion journalist. So for my 20s, I spent pretty much all of my time in Italy. I worked in Italy. I lived in Italy. I studied in Italy. And it wasn't until towards my late 20s when I started getting further ahead in my career and beginning to think, okay, what's my life going to look like? I don't know why I came here, but I just came to Grenada on holiday. And the penny just dropped, something just clicked, there's an ease here. I find it nourishing being here. I like the fact that I can go to a church and see where my grandparents were buried 150 years ago. Like in England, you go to a church and it's just a whole bunch of white people, like, which is nothing wrong. This is where they're from. But, you know, that sort of disconnect. I'm not really from there, and being somewhere where there is a lineage, even though like my close relatives, pretty much everyone is overseas. So I'm back here and people are buried here, but people that I have connections to in terms of family, I don't know them. So it's quite an interesting experience of coming back, but not really belonging, not really having immediate connections. So yeah, it's an interesting journey navigating through that. And at the same time, trying to forge connections, trying to build experiences and memories for my kids so that they feel a connection to here. Because it's really interesting how quickly, like in one generation, that link to a place can be lost. And so if I happen to never come to Grenada on holiday, there's no way that my kids would even know about it, because most people don't even know where Grenada is. They think it's like a city in Spain. So there's a lot of...
And I always say this, especially about African Americans here in the West, that it's easy after a generation or two. A lot of the reason why we don't remember or don't know the history of where we're from, what countries we're from, is because after a generation or two, you just lose those memories, and it's difficult to continue to pass that on. And there are some tribes, of course, the Gullah Geechee, who've been able to keep and retain, but a lot of it is woven into the fiber of who we are. And so we remember through food, or we remember through the dozens, or, these jokes and games that we play, but not necessarily remembering as a part of remembering with our minds, but necessarily within the fabric of our DNA. And so for new people, because this is something that I think about a lot. I have, connections here in the U.S., and as we're exiting and moving to other places throughout the world, the Caribbean, Africa, wherever we choose to go, how have you helped yourself and your children? What strategies have you used, or could you share to help people who might feel disconnected or are trying to meet new friends, or even dating, trying to navigate this whole world, this new world, in a new place where they really don't know anyone?
Yeah, what's the best way to navigate through? I mean, I think in a way, a lot of this work starts before you even get there. So the one thing I say is just getting clear on why you're moving. Taking time to marinate in that. Like if you're giving up everything that you know, which isn't easy, like that's a really bold step and it can be very challenging at times. But if you're giving that up, what are you hoping to replace it with? And I think if you take the time to get really clear on that, one, it gives you a direction that you're focused in. And two, when things go slightly awry, like if the customer service isn't great, or the water gets cut off, or you just don't feel like this is it, you're really clear on your why. It's kind of like having a North Star, that point that you head towards. And my North Star isn't going to look like your North Star. My son's North Star probably isn't even located in Grenada. So he's going to have to understand, okay, what does it look like to have a goal, have an intention, and work towards it? So I think the kind of meta, bigger picture stuff, really taking the time to hone in on that, ignoring what you see on Instagram, in some ways, even ignoring what you see on YouTube, and figuring out what does it mean to just do me, and why am I doing me? What will it feel like to do me? Who will benefit from me doing me? I think really immersing yourself in that, and also building in practices like, for me, it's yoga nidra or being in nature. But those practices that help you to get clear and to cut through the chatter, like, absolutely, I think that's essential. Even if you don't move abroad, even if you stay where you are, I think there's so much pressure to either just consume or to conform to a certain standard, and just conditioning, like television, media, blah, 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 telling you what the should is, to be able to just chuck all that away and just, okay, what does it mean for me to be aligned on my own terms? I think that's really especially useful. when moving abroad. And then for my kids, one of the things that we did before moving was to just have a few trips here, so they knew what the island was like. When I was with my partner, we moved here in 2015 and stayed here for 6 months. So my son went to school here. I set up a small business here. And it was really a way to sort of do a little test run of what moving to Grenada would be like. I sort of knew that I wanted to do that anyhow, and I'd sort of done a trial run before that of remote working from here for 6 weeks. And for my partner, he hated it. He worked, my then partner, he worked in the music industry. So being in London, LA, Ibiza, those sort of places worked for him. For Grenada, he wasn't able to see the plus sides for him because he was very much about work and networking and, you know, that sort of thing. So there are times when doing a test run, we'll throw up stuff that isn't convenient, that you do have to figure out how to work with, but at least you're going into it with your eyes open. So I definitely think researching is good. I've heard someone say, like, you need to know 150 years of the country's history before you move. That may be true. I don't even think I know 150 years of the UK's history, and I was born there, and I still managed to navigate. But I mean, everyone's different. But I think getting clear, doing your research and doing a test run really is a way to just be as aware as possible, but then also understand that when you get there, it could look entirely different. And you got to learn how to be okay with that.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. I felt that in my spirit deep when you when you said that. So I'm definitely going to take that advice to heart. So thank you so much for sharing that. So thank you, Mr. Hillary. Yes, you're in Trinidad and Tobago, and I need to write that down. I need to write that down somewhere because I have put you in every island throughout the Caribbean. So thank you. Yes. Good morning. Yes, good morning. Where are you? You said, oh, SYNOLVE, I love the hair. Thank you, V. I appreciate that. As you guys know, I'm going through a journey. I lost my hair due to COVID. So about 20% of us, 3 to 4 months after COVID, tend to lose their hair. So that's what happened with the hair, and we're dealing with it. We're dealing with it, and so I'm definitely trying to get to the islands and to use more herbal remedies because I've definitely been using coconut oil and all kinds of stuff. Just loving my hair and not dyeing it, but I don't know. Hubby didn't want me to dye it, but I don't know how much longer we can hold out.
Have you seen? I really need to get my roots done. I'm gonna do the interview like this.
And someone also mentioned, I think it was Giselle, that she loved your locks. So I'm glad we're on this hair discussion.
This is my COVID situation. So my hair was like your length at the start of COVID. And I realized that the hairdressers weren't going to be open. Like in England, we had the most severe lockdown ever. Everything was shut. So yeah, my solution was just to twist my hair. I didn't take it out, and now I have locks. So there you go.
There you go. Will you keep your locks, or what do you think you'll do?
I think so. I mean, for now, the only solution would be to chop them off. So yeah, but the grayness, I'm still working through the gray. I'm not quite fully yet ready to embrace the gray.
No, me either. Me either. But I love henna, so I'm gonna break down and do some henna real soon. Hubby, are you hearing me? Okay. So let's see. I don't want to miss anybody.
I want to shout out the guy in Trinidad and Tobago. That's the island next down from Grenada. And there's lots of Grenadians living in Trinidad and Tobago because they moved there in like the 1930s. So there's a real tie between those 3 islands.
Yes. And Mr. Hillary is the best moderator in the whole world. So I'm glad Mr. Hillary was able to join us today. So Mr. Hillary would like to know how long it took for you to get the spiritual connection to move back to your parents' origin in Grenada.
That's a really good question. I think, when was it? I came here in 2015. I sort of measured time by how old my kids are. So my youngest was 6 months. So it was 2015 or 2016. I came here, and as I was leaving, a friend had posted on Facebook an advert for a course in African spirituality. And I was never really, I'm probably like I was the least woke person going. As I said, I was all about Italy, and most of my friends were white and la la la. So I just wasn't one of these like conscious people who gets what life is about. But something about that advert stoked my curiosity, and I went along. And it was a guy who, he was of Nigerian heritage, but he grew up in the UK. He'd studied candomblé in Brazil, Santeria in Cuba, but also Ifa in Nigeria. And he really just broke down like a lot of the conditioning that we have as folks who've kind of grown up in the Christian tradition. What sort of an African spirituality was about, not just as ritual, but also just a philosophy. And he spoke a lot about divination and different ways into that. And I think there was something in my life that obviously wasn't working that made me feel like I needed to go down that route. And I think that session, even though it was only 2 hours, it just made me start questioning and understanding how to work with my intuition. And there wasn't ever really a clear move to the Caribbean. You know, I didn't get that, but it was more like, well, this isn't working, that isn't working, this brings me joy, this could work here, this is how I see, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of that's the long version of it. The shorter part is that last year, I managed to get a divination with Malidoma Patrice Sommet. I don't know if you know of him. He wrote an amazing book called Of Water and the Spirit, which I recommend everyone should read. It's just life-changing.
Oh, yeah, taking notes. Of Water and the Spirit. Good.
Yeah, it's short.
Watch the replay.
It's short, so there's no excuse for not reading it. But the book just blew me away at a time where I really just needed my thinking to expand. And I'd always been researching the guy, was amazed to find out that he was still alive, and emailed him to see if I could get a divination. Didn't hear anything back. Emailed again, and then 2 days later, I got a response. Hi, he's opening up divinations for one time this year. Send us money. I didn't have the money. Like, it was a lot of money. I'm like, damn, where am I going to get this from? So I actually asked my sister to lend me the money. I didn't tell her what it was for. And we just had this chat. And I didn't even know how a divination is supposed to work. He used like cowrie shells and a grid that's divided into earth, water, metal, and fire, and different objects that he was able to reveal certain things. And it basically just confirmed everything that I had been thinking or feeling, but also just took it so much deeper. And kind of what he was saying is, you know, you're on this journey, but you're doing things at a very superficial level. You know that you need to take it deeper. And once you make this shift, things are just going to align for you in a way that they haven't been up until now. So that was great. Then he said, and you need to be near water. And that was like a shivers down the spine moment, because yes, Grenada is an island. So obviously it's going to be, gone. I'm going to keep on going. Obviously, we're going to be.
Now, that time I went on that time I did go on purpose.
Okay.
You're in the flow. So I wanted to give you this spotlight because you're in the flow, and I want them to focus on you. So I'm going to come back, okay?
Pressure. Okay. So yeah, you need to go somewhere where you're near water. Obviously, Grenada is an island, but more specifically, my grandfather had left a house up in the north of the island that's on like half an acre of land, and it has a river down at the bottom. And I'd kind of always been torn between, should I live there, should I not? Like, I felt a real calling to the place. And that was really, that conversation was really important. He spoke a lot about me being, what was the exact wording? A channel for my ancestors' wisdom, and yes, a lot about ancestral stuff, which I'm still working through. Like, it was very big. So that, to me, like, I knew I was moving anyway. I had booked my tickets to go, but having that conversation really was a way to be like, yeah, it's not just me on a whim. It's not just because I don't like the cold. It's not just because I'm fed up of the racism. Actually, moving is going to be part of a way that I serve a greater purpose and move in an aligned way. But that confirmation doesn't mean that it's easy. It's definitely not easy, but at least I'm here and I'm showing up and seeing what happens.
And we talk a lot about spirituality on our channel because, and I say our channel because it, belongs to all of us, even though my name is here, but we are a reflection of the ancestors. And sometimes I really feel in our desires, right, in these intentions that we set, we really are being led. We're being led to a place that the ancestors are calling us to. And so it's important to really go within and figure out, well, what's the call? What's the push, and where am I supposed to go? And when you said by the water, all of those things, it really does feel like there's this, of course, greater purpose. And since you've been there, you have impacted so many people to want to do the same thing. And your voice, your story resonates with so many people. So imagine if you had not followed that call and had stayed in the UK doing fashion, which I love. But just imagine if you hadn't followed that call. And so we are better for it, having you listen to the ancestors and follow the beat of your own drum, even though you didn't necessarily know what that was. And that is the beauty of spirit. That is what connects us all, this same beat and call of the ancestors to return wherever in the world we are to go. There is a call, and I've talked about this. There is definitely a Black Exodus movement that's happening, and it's a call that's coming from the ancestors that says return, return. And so I love that you shared that. Thank you.
Yeah. And I remember one point that there was a number of things that happened along the way, but there was one point I was sitting on my sofa in the UK thinking, but this makes no sense. Like, I studied really hard. I've gone to university. Like, I'm in the media, blah, blah, blah. Like, to do X makes no sense. This isn't who I am. And I think it was difficult because everyone around me was like, well, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? And I didn't at that time have the words to explain. And I still now don't necessarily know how to break it down to folks who don't see things the way that you do. But I'm also learning to let that be okay. Like, people don't have to understand my life. They don't live my life.
No, they don't. They don't.
Yeah, ultimately, as it's me responsible for doing me and trying to do me with having an audience of kids who also need to know how to do themselves, as long as that's okay. Like, other people's opinions, sometimes it hurts that they don't understand, but that's okay. That's life. Not everything is going to be palatable.
Yes, absolutely. It's this journey. The first journey is within, and sometimes that's the longest journey of all. And
Sure.
I'm 50. I'm still trying to figure it out, because I thought I was one person. My husband and I were talking about this last night. I thought I was one person, sort of trying to navigate as a writer. I had aspirations to do one thing and then went to school to do something totally different. But I always in writing, but I wanted to do media and those kinds of things. But I wanted, I heard at the back of my mind the American dream, insert your country in the dream, because this is everywhere, that pressure. And you mentioned that, go to school, work hard, all those things. But I went and got a degree still in English, but in professional and technical writing. So I was a medical writer, all of that. And totally different. Hubby was saying, "Oh, you should do journalism. You should do journalism. You really should." And I was like, "No, I need a job." Because anchors come and go, writers, you're always searching for the story. And so I really now am this totally different person, back to journalism in a way of interviewing people that I really believe in, that I really feel connected to. And I can't even explain it, because a lot of times, I'm researching people or I'm on their channels and I don't comment. So I understand you guys who don't comment. I love you guys because I get that, because I really want to research the person and find out about the person without any barriers at all. And so I love this work, but it's a call. It's a call that you just have to answer for yourself. V's Interior has definitely answered the call. She's interior designer and lifestyle. She's also in Tennessee, not far from where I am, but she's also a Grenadian, right? She's Grenadian born. And Ms. V, if I'm not mistaken, you traveled to Israel recently, but correct me if I'm wrong. But I think you traveled to Israel. I always love hearing your story of traveling to Israel, because you had a lot of fun. But yeah, welcome. I'm so glad we have some Grenadians here. And I didn't know you were from Grenada, so that's amazing.
Yeah, Grenadians are everywhere. We're a tiny island, but we spread like microbes. We're everywhere. And we're awesome.
We're awesome, yes. Mr. Hillary, does Sister Zoe do like radio meditation program? Oh, Mr. Hillary, wouldn't that be great? Because she definitely has that voice. She has a wonderful radio announcer voice, especially on Sunday, that plays slow R&B music. I love that, Mr. Hillary.
Quite specific. No, I don't do it. Do you know, I'm actually a writer. So even deciding to do the Exodus Collective, the plan was, what was the plan? I actually started it with someone else and they went on a different journey. But the idea was they were going to do all the interviews and I was going to write, because I'm a journalist, I'm always thinking about the question, and I find it very hard to answer a question and talk, and I feel very self-conscious and I don't like being in front. So writing is my comfort zone. Thinking and speaking, I find very difficult. Thinking and writing, I don't even need to think about it. So no, to answer you, I haven't done radio. I'm just getting to grips with video, but thank you. Maybe I should start doing some yoga nidra recordings.
Yes, podcasting. I'm all for it.
Thank you, Mr. Hillary.
That was really good, Mr. Hillary. This is why I love Mr. Hillary. Mr. Hillary is my I have adopted nephews all throughout the internet. So Mr. Hillary is one of my adopted nephews from Milton and I. And so we appreciate you so much. Yeah, Mr. Hillary. Yeah, it's gone. Thank you. Oh, you're sweet. Hubby cut my hair. So we were standing there in the bathroom and I'd let him cut like a piece at a time. And then but when I, woke up and it was on the bed laying beside me, we had no choice, but it'll grow back. We're good. Hubby tells me every day, he's like, "You're okay. It'll grow back." Really. Let's see. Another nice CARICOM. Yes. I love that CARICOM. Yeah, I have just a slight obsession with CARICOM and with visas, all things visas in the Caribbean, because that wasn't something as an African American growing up in America. I know you guys can relate. I thought of visiting all 50 states in the US, but I never thought of visiting outside of the country. And this is a symptom of slavery. We know this is part of the trauma. We don't leave. We don't go outside very much. I know people from Memphis to my husband's hometown, Collierville, is about 15, 20 minutes. I know people who don't even travel outside of Memphis to go to Collierville. I know people who don't even travel from Collierville to Memphis, and it's just 15 minutes. This stuff that we got going on that Zoe has already said we need to work on before we get to wherever we're going is real. It's real. And so this is this opportunity as you're listening to the ancestors to say, we can do something different. We can go somewhere. We can travel the world. All you really need is a passport. So when I'm sitting there talking about passports, it's like an eye-opening, it's a mind-blowing experience for me because it's so exciting to think that you can have a CARICOM, you can have a visa, CARICOM visa, and you can travel throughout all of the, islands in the Caribbean, but it also affords you the opportunity to travel throughout Africa and so many other places. I'm like, the CARICOM visa is the best visa in the whole world. It's like... It's just the whole, yeah. Now, do you have your CARICOM?
Yeah, so I have Grenadian citizenship, both British and Grenadian citizenship. And once you are a member of one CARICOM state, it allows you access within other Caribbean islands, whether it's for work, under certain criteria. You pay less to study at the University of West Indies and other elements too. And then within that, you also have the OECS, which is the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. So that's like Grenada, St. Kitts, St. Lucia, and a few others. I should know them all, but I don't. And that has even more benefits. So fewer work restrictions, ability to buy property with fewer regulations and possibly taxes, but don't quote me on that. And then from island to island, depending on where you hold citizenship, they will have agreements with other African states. So I know Barbados and Jamaica in particular have really good bilateral agreements with Nigeria and Ghana. I don't think Grenada does. I know that they were having discussions with Ghana, but there hasn't been any sort of bold statements of collaboration. But I think they should. I hope they will. But yeah, one of the things that I really encourage people to do is to apply for Caribbean citizenship to an island, even if you just have a grandmother or a grandfather. Just giving yourself options is so key. And I think, if anything, the whole pandemic situation has showed us that we really need options in these days because you never know what's going to happen. So Grenada, Trinidad, and a few other islands, you can only apply through a parent, but others allow you to apply through grandparents and great-grandparents. So I know most African Americans, they know where they come from, but if you happen to have one Bahamian great-granny or whatever, like, it's worth seeing what options are available because, yeah, I think the ability to travel, to not need to pay an extortionate amount for visas, etc., really is key. And the other thing that the Caribbean has is citizenship by investment. So for a certain amount of money, or if you purchase a house worth a certain price, that will allow you to get citizenship. Like, it's very controversial, and I mean, it's controversial for people from the islands because sometimes there are questions as to who's allowed to buy citizenship. What are they going to do with that citizenship beyond just having a passport? Will they meddle in politics? But for those who don't have that option of ancestry and who want to do something beyond tourist visas and beyond the digital nomad visas that a number of countries have, that's also an option. But it's typically between 150 to 200,000 US. Wow. So not an insignificant amount.
Wow. So I like I said, I'm so obsessed. I also feel with this, no one's going to listen to this. I also feel that people who are African American, we're just separated from the Caribbean islands by a slave ship. And so I feel like we should just be able to have citizenship. I feel like I have grandparents or mothers or fathers, but nobody's listening to that. So, but I feel like
And also, you don't need citizenship. You can just come. In Grenada, you can come. You can stay for, they say 6 months, but I think in reality it's 3 months. You can stay for up to 3 months on a tourist visa, and it costs 75 EC per month to extend. 75 EC is like, I want to say $35. Maybe I've just made that up, but it's definitely less. So it's a lot cheaper than 200,000.
Yes.
And you can do 6 months in Grenada, 6 months elsewhere. And yeah, I think the whole citizenship borders, it's a bit much at times.
Yes, I think so too. Well,
one of the points that I wanted to speak to is when you were talking about that sort of fear about moving and fear about being elsewhere, the African Americans experience, but I think also in black people who've been through the process of slavery, it's a common thing. Is that I was trying to understand, like, I'm in certain groups, and one of the most frequently asked and frequently commented upon questions is, I want to move, but people don't get it. I want to move and people think I'm being selfish or irresponsible and I should just stay and like do my mainstream job. And I was trying to unpick, like, why is this so common? Why are so many of us experiencing this? Because I've experienced it. My own father thinks I'm absolutely crazy for bringing my kids to Grenada. And I started reading Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. I forget the name of the author. But what was really interesting is that the idea for the book is something that she happened upon while she was outside of the States. She happened upon it while she was in South Africa and realized that difference of, not having the fear, not having the embodied trauma of just wanting to stay safe, knowing what it means to leave the plantation, knowing what it looks like to be uppity, knowing what it looks like to do things differently, being something that we know through our lived experience is risky, is uncertain. She was able to identify that by being elsewhere. So I think sometimes a lot of the stuff that we might take as personal to us is actually just our people working through stuff that's being put upon us as a survival mechanism. So knowing that you can respond differently, knowing that you can respond with compassion, and knowing that you can respond by being like, cool, I'm the one to break this conditioning. I'm the one who knows that actually, yes, there are risks, but in some ways it's more risky to stay and get heart disease, stress, get shot, get my kid in prison, get my kid stabbed or shot in a place that's just toxic.
absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like you just said everything that's in my heart, and everything that's been guiding me through this whole journey, because sometimes it's difficult to really speak or say out loud the words, the feeling, that you have, and that it's time to move. This is toxic. I'm actually Milton and I are working on videos to release about the toxic American dream and how we quit the American dream. I've been working on this for about 2 weeks now. The video's coming out this weekend, regardless. But there is this toxicity in Babylon, and you did this amazing article about Babylon. I have it linked below that you interviewed someone, and I have it linked below. And so this toxicity that we have with Babylon is absolutely real, and so we often don't know our heritage, but Mr. Hillary knows his heritage. He says his mother is Grenadian, is of Grenadian history, and of course that's a sister island of the Caribbean as well. So I love that. See, this is absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. So now, let me see, make sure I'm getting your comments, because I think Zoe and I are here only for an hour, and I don't want to keep her longer. So we have about 6 minutes to go. So Milton, this is one of the questions that I had, and so Milton has hit on this. Where did this passion and love of writing come from?
Do you know what? I don't think I do love writing. I don't. I write and I know how to, but I don't. I think what it is, I'm super curious. I'm very nosy, and I wanted to get access to places. So I don't know if I said it before, but I started writing for my local paper when I was 14 years old. I basically just went to the library. I was like, I want to be a journalist. I don't know any journalists. So I went to the library and just started reading books on journalism, and then decided that I wanted to write an article about something happening in my town, and sent it to the local newspaper. I didn't tell them how old I was. And they published it, and it was like a front page story. And then they paid me for it. And then I wrote in and said, oh, can I come and do work experience? Like, oh, you're 14 years old. We didn't realize. And then they gave me a column in the local paper. So I'd go, I'm old. So this is the days before email. So I would go to the newspaper office before school, hand them my floppy disk because there was no email. And yeah, that's what I did. So it's more curiosity, and I'm a seeker. I like getting information. I like connecting with people. I like, just conversing with people. And the writing is just, it's something that comes easy. Perhaps it's how I express myself, not necessarily through any effort. It's just something that I have. I guess it's a gift. When you say a gift, it sounds really special, like, oh, I'm gifted. It's not like me. It's just what comes through me. You know, some people play the piano, some people paint. It's not really about me. It's just mind to hand. It's how stuff comes out.
Yes. Now, Milton also asked another question. Milton asked some great questions, and you guys are, Mr. Hillary, everyone is asking great questions. So put your questions in. We got about a couple of more minutes with Zoe. But what are some of the things that we must do when we visit Grenada? Milton is asking.
What should you do? Well, everyone goes to Granada's beach. That's the most popular beach, and I think it is quite breathtaking. But what I think you should do is to get out of St. George's and drive all the way up to the north, which is the country. And there you sort of go through mountains, there are rivers, there are hidden beaches, there are people who will maybe initially look at you because they know that they don't recognize you and they don't recognize your number plate. Like, that's how small it is that things that are different people notice. But people are just really authentic and friendly. And Grenada is a sort of place where folks, they don't hustle. You know, you can lie on a beach. One, you can have the entire beach to yourself. But two, if there are people on the beach, the number of people who will be like, do you want to buy a coconut water? Do you want to buy a bracelet? Do you want to get your hair braided? That just doesn't happen here. So Grenada, if you're going to come to Grenada, what should you do? You should chill. You should immerse yourself in nature. You should taste some of our delicious cocoa. I think we have more chocolate makers per capita in Grenada than anywhere else. It's an island of 100,000 people, 110,000 people, and yet there are 7 chocolate brands here. One of them, which is a Grenada chocolate company, is a cooperative started in the 1990s, and it was one of the first tree-to-bar chocolate makers. So typically chocolate is grown in countries in West Africa in really awful conditions. Quite often there's child labor involved. Whereas what this model started is knowing exactly who grew those beans, where they came from, how they were processed, and making sure that they're paid a decent wage. So there's lots. There's fancy hotels, there are marinas, there's yachts, there's boats. But I think what's unique to Grenada is just the vibe, the nature, and the people. That's what I think is best about being here.
Awesome. And we get to meet Zoe. No, you all won't get to meet Zoe. So no, don't don't go there thinking that. So Milton says, well, how's the financial climate? And you talked about the chocolate collective. But for someone who's coming over, I know you started a business there, a tea business, Bud and Root. So what is the financial climate like for even the digital nomads?
Yeah, so Grenada does have a digital nomad visa that will allow you to stay here for up to a year. And you can bring in certain items tax-free, which is great, especially if you want to bring in a car, because the taxes are insane on importing items like that. Yeah. As a result of the pandemic, unemployment here is quite high, particularly among young people. So what I often say is, one, because jobs are scarce, and two, because there is a real need for sustainable employment, is that Grenada is a really interesting place to start a business, or a place from which to run a business. I actually work remotely for a company in the UK. So I think if you can earn in US or pounds or euros and live here, that's definitely the way to do it. But yeah, there are incentives for starting businesses here. The process of opening a bank account here is not fun. So if you can get away with just having a bank account elsewhere and just withdrawing cash, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are solutions to it. But if you're not big, if you're small and wanting to keep things simple, I would say being in Grenada, running a business that's not necessarily dependent on trading with Grenadians, could be a way to get a substantial amount of money that's comfortable to live on, or even looking at creating initiatives here. I think an area that's really booming is agritourism. So letting farms have tours, or making oils or butters. I mean, really just connecting with communities, because there's so much here that marketing is a real issue. It's a real challenge to find out what's going on, which leads some people to think there's nothing going on, which isn't the truth. We're just not great about shouting about what we do. So Grenada's, yeah, internet is amazing. I think there's one service provider that provides upload speeds of up to 250 megabytes per second, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, Grenada's a great place to check out, a great place to be based, I think.
So Mr. Hillary, I'm trying to make sure I'm scrolling down and get all the questions, because our time is buzzing. Mr. Hillary asked, how about the countryside, which you just mentioned, agritourism, land opportunities for building a peaceful oasis for oneself and one's family?
Yeah, there's lots of land. It's quite undeveloped in the north. And I think more and more people are looking to develop things up there. I think there's one project that I can't remember if it's Chinese or Singaporean, but it's an area that's quite close to a natural park called La Vera, and there's plans for like a huge hotel. But I think it's really important to do things that are fitting with the environment. So perhaps smaller scale, not like 7-story high glass buildings that stick out like a sore thumb. Yes, things that are sustainable, things that really are in harmony with the environment. I think there's definitely a lot of opportunity there, because the sad thing is more and more people who are like me, sort of families that have moved abroad, there's a lot of land in the family. People don't necessarily have the intention of moving back. So it's quite easy to find plots of land, 10 acres, 20 acres, whatever, that are for sale. But I definitely think for Grenada, because it is so small, there's a real responsibility to do things sustainably and in ways that are kind of in harmony with the environment, which the government here doesn't seem so keen to promote. But I'm going to bang on that drum. If you move to Grenada, it's got to be in a harmonious way, I think.
And that's where we come to the conscious relocations. And so that's very important. Now, the land prices, how are they? Is it expensive, exorbitant, or is it still a place where you can come and live?
It varies. So I would say roughly, depending on the area, I would say between 5 to 15 US per square foot. I don't know. I'm from the UK, so I don't do things in feet. I do things in square meters. So I've got no idea if that's good or bad. But just knowing from like looking at stuff that's for sale, I think it ranges. So in the countryside, if it's agricultural land, probably closer to 4 or 5 US per square foot. But in St. George's, in the kind of expat areas, it's probably even upwards of 15. Property in St. George's is expensive. Really expensive.
Really expensive. All right. Well, 2 last questions for Mr. Hillary. Well, first, Mrs. V said using cocoa and chocolate to make cocoa tea. And then, are you a fan of the music star Talpre, who is from Grenada, Mr. Hillary asked, and then two, is there much repatriation of Grenadians coming back home? Are you seeing that to create businesses? And then that's going to be our wrap up.
Yeah, so Talpre, I do like Talpre. As I said, like I'm late on this journey to wokeness and self-awareness. So I didn't grow up loving soca, but I'm learning to appreciate it more here. And what was the second part? Repatriation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's been one of the exciting things about doing the Exodus Collective. So I interview people who've moved to all CARICOM destinations, all 15, with the exception of Guyana, Suriname, and the Bahamas. But obviously, I'm in Grenada. I love talking about Grenada, and there is definitely a movement. I think the pandemic has shaken people up. The experience of being stuck in the UK or stuck in the US when you don't want to be there, when you realize the conditions that you have to live under, it's really made people think about where they want to be. And I've kind of likened it to a game of musical chairs. The music stops and you look, and I'm like, this isn't it. So I think for more and more Grenadians, especially younger Grenadians, they're moving back because they can work remotely or they have seen things overseas that they can replicate back home. And I think the more of us who come, as long as we're mindful and respectful and humble and, aren't trying to impose ourselves on people who've been here for decades, I think it could be a really good way for an injection of fresh ideas, fresh collaboration that will really benefit the island. Because one of the things that I think isn't so great here is that people tend to hold on to positions until they drop. So like senior management, senior politicians are kind of in their 70s, 80s, which isn't to knock age. I'm all about knowledge from the elders, but there's also times when for change to happen, you kind of need to set a step aside. So for parallel paths to be built by younger people with new ideas, I think is hopefully something that's going to keep on building momentum here in Grenada.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Zoe, for coming on. Maybe you'll come again because there's still questions. Sade is asking, what does the rent look like in Grenada? But maybe you'll come back on and you'll share more. In your wrap up and your final thoughts as you share, what are some of the things that or takeaways that have been with you coming to Grenada? What were things that you just kind of were, wow, I found this, whether it was peace or just the beauty of the land or the friendliness of the people, whatever your takeaway bliss moment was when you first came, share that with us as we do our final wrap up.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many. I think sometimes it's just really simple things that for some reason every other day there seems to be a rainbow, sometimes two rainbows a day. And driving along with my kids, looking out the window and seeing that is awesome. Driving in traffic and looking over and seeing the sparkling blue sea is awesome. Being in nature is awesome. Being surrounded by friendly people in an island where I feel safe is amazing. But I think also one thing I'm also realizing is that Babylon is a state of mind as much as a place. And it's very easy to move and not do the work to think differently, not do the work to be differently. So sometimes moving isn't enough. Physically moving isn't enough. Your mentality needs to shift too. So that's kind of the journey that I'm on. Lots of questions, not necessarily lots of answers, but that's what I'm looking to explore at this point. Now that I've made the move, now that I'm semi-free, what does it look like to be fully free? So that's what we're exploring on the Exodus Collective going forward. But it's been amazing. And thank you for all the questions. Thank you for all these Grenadians in the audience, full Grenadians, semi-Grenadians, wannabe Grenadians. Yes, I love it. I love the support and I love what you do. I think these conversations are really, really necessary. So I look forward to having another chat with you when you're sweating like I am. No blanket over the shoulders, no layers,
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Now, do you have a Exodus Collective group on Facebook?
No, not really. I have a page, but I don't post anything there. The best place to follow is on YouTube, which is / the Exodus Collective, and also on Instagram. Those are the two places where you can find out what's going on.
Absolutely. Well, and I have all those linked below. Thank you again, Zoe. I hope to do this soon, very soon, because there's so many people that need to hear your story and need to hear the ancestors call, because maybe they aren't recognizing it, or maybe they don't know exactly what it is, or they just need the support. And so thank you. Thank you so much for your time and your energy. And we love you, sis. Big hugs. Have an amazing day.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Guys, we had an amazing discussion. Wasn't this amazing? This is so amazing. Zoe is phenomenal. She's phenomenal. I found the article that I was trying to find too. It's Escaping Babylon, the Millennial Black Women Who Left the UK for New Lives in the Caribbean by Zoe Smith. And I've linked that below. It's on blackballad.com. I've linked that below, because if you want to hear about Babylon and kind of start getting your ideas formulating about this spiritual revolution, what's going on within you, why you're thinking about moving, why you are suddenly, wanting a cup of cocoa tea, you just have no idea. You definitely want to connect with Zoe. I have all of her links below. She is here on YouTube, so you can go over and subscribe to her YouTube channel, the Exodus Collective, and I've linked it below. So be sure when you go over there to tell her hello that SYNOLVE sent you. Sade, I'm so glad and I agree with you, this was an amazing interview. I do feel like the questions come through me, and I always feel like just give the guest this opportunity to share and to shine, because Spirit has made this connection. It's not a connection of my own. Spirit has made this connection. I kind of secretly stalk people without them knowing, watching their videos, reading all of their articles, and really watching their social media feeds, because you can pick up this sense, like Zoe, that there is so much more, this deeper spirit from within that really has so much light to give and so much love to share. And I love connecting with people who are like Zoe, amazing, who are intuitive, and who are authentic and passionate about what they do. And so Mr. Hillary saying, thank you kindly for this lovely sister Zoe doing a lovely interview in this great stream. Mr. Hillary, I agree with you. Zoe is so amazing and so lovely. And so we've just really enjoyed our time. I've enjoyed my time together. Zoe, Sade says, thanks, Zoe. I love your channel and love this interview. Awesome. Let's see. Mr. Hillary is asking, nice, didn't know. He didn't know, V, that you were from Grenada. And I didn't know. I did not know that too. Ms. V is saying, thanks for showing some Grenadian love. Happy seeing your interview. I'm not clicking the names on because hubby wrote me a note backstage that wrote me a note that when you saw me kind of looking to the side, that whenever I click on the screens, for some reason, the voice is going out. So that's what was happening. So I think we got those technical difficulties kind of figured out, but that's why I'm not clicking on the screen. I'm no click mode. Milton says, thank you, Zoe, for sharing your time and your knowledge. We are so grateful. We are so grateful. And we've been so blessed by all of the knowledge that she shared. A lot of times, people don't share the deep spiritual, path that they took to get here. And that's always what Spirit, for some reason, wants to share. I find that a lot. You guys know on this channel, it comes out every time. I feel like other people can do the nice, clean interviews where they're like, oh, well, where are you from? Well, how did you get here? Well, how long have you been here? They can do those interviews. But I feel like whenever Spirit brings someone on the channel with us, the ancestors already have a reason for what they want to hear and what they want to know, and they want to connect spiritually with you. So the person always shares about their spiritual journey, and we're always blessed and better for it. And so, yes, I think we got the tall pre now. See, Now, V and Mr. Hillary, now I got to go check out Talk Free. So thank you. Thank you for that. I have been on all of these, Caribbean beats. And so, look, okay, y'all going to have my house humming. Mr. Hillary, yes, use meters here, also feet too as measurement. Absolutely. I think I'm getting through all of the comments. Milton says, Sade, Sade said, Milton, this dream is unreachable for us Black people because it's a myth. Yes, we must have an African dream. I think that's what I hear his spirit say. We must have an African dream because the American dream, the Babylon dream, the dream of the West, the UK dream, just is unattainable. And so we're working on that video. Hopefully it will drop today, if not in the morning. So definitely check back on both Milton's channel and my channel, because we'll drop those videos. And in the meantime, go over and binge watch Zoe's channel, okay? Go over and binge watch her channel so you can catch up on all things Grenada, all things Caribbean. She's done some amazing interviews. And so let's see. Mr. Hillary says you can stay up to 90 days on a tourist visa. Zoe mentioned the tourist visa in Trinidad and Tobago as well. If you want an extension, just apply with the chief immigration officer here. Americans, Brits, Canadians do not need a visa to visit here. What you said, Mr. Hillary, why are we not? You come on the channel. Why am I not interviewing you, Mr. Hillary? And when will this happen? So, Mr. Hillary, reach out to me on WhatsApp because we need to make this happen. Because yes, I did not know that about Trinidad and Tobago. But Mr. Hillary, when are you going to Grenada? That's what I want to know. And will you film it when you go? Okay. When are you going to Grenada? Because we need to hear all. And Ms. V, when are you going back to Grenada? Because we need to know. And I'm definitely hoping that Zoe will film more of. She does great interviews, guys. I'm hoping that she'll film more of the islands because y'all know I love Jamaica. But I'm trying to hop every island. Yes. And every time I talk to someone from another island in the Caribbean, I'm like, oh, I want to live there. I have to be so careful. Because while Zoe was talking, I was like, well, I want to go live in Grenada. So, okay, I got to be careful. And, I'm from Mississippi, so there's actually a town called Grenada, Mississippi, that's not far from here. So I tell you, the ancestors are always speaking, like they're always telling us things. And so this is very interesting. V says, in Grenada, I was born in the point called Fountain Oil. I was raised in Grand Mall, St. George's. Oh my gosh, that is beautiful. Mr. Hillary says, it's great to have bases to reside in multiple countries around the world, especially where there are a lot of Black people, most importantly. I agree, Mr. Hillary. I agree. Mr. Hillary says, oh yeah, Brother Milton, many talents is barbering. Yes, many talents, barbering and haircutting. A talented brother for sure. Y'all amazing. Yeah, Milton, I got it. The cards are shaking. Thank you, boo. I love you. Of course, thank you so much for bringing in my notes and for helping with my technical issues. Ms. V, yes, I have traveled to Israel. It was amazing, great experience, and I gained a lot of knowledge being there. I know. And every time, I always think of you every time anyone mentions Israel, because I know when you went, you had this amazing experience. But I definitely think when I go to Israel, we'll have to travel with you. So you and hubby and I, Bill and I will have to travel with you when you go to Israel because you know all the best spots, you know all the best places. I kind of feel like that with Zoe when I go to Grenada, that I need to be with her. Like I just want to shadow her wherever she goes because all the restaurants she was talking about and the countryside, I could just feel it. I could just see us sipping on some herbal tea or chocolate tea. So I love that. Milton says, Zoe, I applaud you for listening and for following your true calling. Yes, 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 yes. Sister Sade in the building. Jocelyn is here. Welcome, sis. Sade, it's all also in the Bible in Isaiah 13 that we will be moving back to our home countries because Babylon will be judged. Thank you for that. I look. All right. That's all we need to say on that. Zoe, how is the fashion scene in Grenada, sister? Since that's one of your passions. Look, I'm writing these down for the questions that we missed. I apologize for missing questions, but I'm writing this down. Fashion Grenada, rent Grenada. I'm writing these down because when Zoe comes back, we'll get to talk about these things. Let's see. I'd like moving is a way to serve a greater purpose. And yes, it is. It is absolutely a way to serve a greater purpose. Absolutely. And that was just good. When she said that, it just really touched me. And I felt that deep in my spirit. I really do. I really did. All right, let's see. Let's see. That divination gave you, Mr. Hillary says that divination gave you the power that reassurance that it was time to move. Powerful. Isn't that powerful, Mr. Hillary? So powerful, powerful, powerful. Keep on going, strong sister Zoe. You are flowing. You are flowing. She was flowing. I was like, look, I'm just going to give her the whole moment because you could hear spirit flowing and it was beautiful. Mrs. V says, I know his family. His dad nickname is Window. Oh, wow. Amazing. And so, yes, thanks for showing so much love and happy to see you in this interview. Let's see. Thank you kindly. Try Grenada cocoa tea, selfish and bakes. Nice place to go. Okay, I'm writing that down. A good place to go. The spiritual part of her story is very intriguing. Absolutely, Mr. Hillary. I agree. Mr. Hillary, thank you kindly for this lovely sister, Zoe, and doing this lovely interview. Sade, amazing interview. Love your comments, guys. I will read that article for sure. I've got them all linked below. Shayna, hey. Hi, SYNOLVE. I just came in and caught the live. We'll watch the replay. Guys, I will be interviewing Shayna tomorrow. So if you're here, be sure to come back. I'm interviewing Shayna tomorrow. So be sure to catch the live. If you're on my email list, then I'll send out the email about the interview as well. And so, but if you're not on the emails, check back later today and you'll see that the live will have been scheduled. So check back in a couple of hours. It'll be up scheduled and the interview will be on Saturday. Mr. Hillary, Babylon is falling bit by bit right before our eyes. Yes, it is. Ms. V is right behind my journey to Island Hop, and I appreciate that. All right, guys. You guys are so amazing. Amazing. Can I talk? I'm so excited. I can't even talk. But you guys are so amazing. If you're watching the replay, kudos for you. I, again, am SYNOLVE. I'm your host. I'm so excited and so grateful that Zoe came to share her time with us, and she came to share so much wisdom and knowledge. And it's beautiful when you have people who allow spirit to just take control. When you have people who allow spirit to move and work through them. And I try to leave enough openness within the interview to allow spirit. I have a ton of questions, right? I have a ton of questions, and so I always have over prepare, and then I have a ton of questions, and so I always allow this room for spirit to come in and to share. Yes, you thought it was today, Shayna. Look, if we can do today, just let me know. I'm saying it was Saturday, so X that. Shayna, if you need to do it today, we can. Just email me, Shayna, and I'm going to give you my WhatsApp number so that we can chat today if we need to chat today. I'm totally fine with that. I just need to drink some water and eat my banana. It's my breakfast, and we can totally do it today. So, all right. Thank you for that. I'm glad you came on. So let's do it today. Let's do it today. But you're gonna love this. Shayna's gonna be talking about. She said she's gonna email me. Good. Shayna's gonna be talking about, of course, her coaching business, but also what it's like to have safe self-care in Jamaica when she traveled, and how much self-care can really change your life. And so, stay tuned for that. It's gonna happen today. It's gonna happen today. All right, guys. You can support me on Buy Me a Coffee. You know, I always tell you that you can support me just by being here and give me a likes. You know, give me a like, a thumbs up, and hitting subscribe, hitting the notification bell so you're always notified whenever I do a video. Also, I have some sponsorships over on Buy Me a Coffee, or you can buy me 1 coffee, 2 coffee, 3 coffees, or 4 coffees. How many other coffees you want to buy me? Buy them monthly, weekly, you know, so we can just keep doing this work that we do. And just know that I truly appreciate you. And of course, I appreciate our guest today who shared, Zoe shared so much. So go check her out. I left all her links below. Thank you to you for being here for me and for always supporting me. I love you guys so much. You are amazing. You, baby, you are amazing. You're beautiful. You're wonderful. You're kind. You're loving. You're precious. You are filled with the spirit from within, and the ancestors are supporting you on your journey. Whatever you choose to do, wherever you choose to go, make sure, as we've heard from our guests today, make sure that you're listening to the ancestors and spirits call who are calling you from within. All right, guys, I love you guys so much. Again, this is SYNOLVE, and I'm going to see you in another video real soon. Real soon. Bye-bye, guys. Love you so much. Mwah! Big hugs. Bye, guys. Have an amazing day. Until I see you a little later today, back with Shayna. Love coaching. All right, guys. Love you. Check out Zoe. Bye-bye. Oh my gosh.